I'd like to call the Park and Rec Board meeting for Tuesday, June 18th, 2019 to order. Roll call, please.
Mark Williams.
Here.
Mark Ansonia.
Here.
J.C. Mansman. Here. A.D. Hess.
Here.
And Minor and Zerbal are excused, and I think Deborah's still coming.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I have no additions or corrections. Does anybody else have any for the agenda? If not, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to accept.
Do you have a second?
Second.
A motion to second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Comments from the public? We don't have any here this evening, so we'll keep moving on to 6, written communications. We have a bunch of them, and they're wide.
A couple are from some kids just saying thank you for keeping the park clean, which is appreciated, because we've been getting a lot of calls about the grass being too long with the wet weather, but it's always good to get the positive ones, too.
Yep.
And then we've got several communications from residents over at Woodside Nursing Home, or senior care facility. Melody has been since this winter teaching a senior exercise class that a lot of them go to, and they're very appreciative of that. So that's what that's about. And then this is from the March of Dimes, another one, just saying thank you to Melody for the work that she did. She did a lot of help with them on setup and doing a few troubleshooting items for the March of Dimes walk. That was the first weekend in May, and that was a letter from them.
And public safety.
And public safety, yep. For a donation of Ashwaubenon passes to go swimming this summer for the 5th grade class.
Rex, is it prudent for us to receive and place on file these?
Yep. That's what we've done in the past.
Motion? Fire? Or just a statement of receive and place on file?
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you. 7, consent agenda, Parks and Rec Board regular meeting, April 16th, and discussion and possible action on expenditures. Well, I don't know if there's discussion and possible action. We're making action on expenditures under consent agenda.
That you need a motion to receive
Yes.
and place on file.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 8, action items. A, Argonne playground equipment purchase recommendation.
All right, so the voting, the online voting, I think we mailed out 176 letters to addresses around Argonne Park, basically bordered from Morris to Brookwood, south to north, and then up to Marlee on the east. And quite honestly, if anyone else in that general area wanted to vote, I had told Sue to accept it and give them a special code that they could vote. We were able to secure 22, 32, 33, 36 votes came back in on the online poll. There were 6 companies that we worked with that submitted designs, and we can click on any of them if you haven't had the chance to see them yet. They were online, and they're still online on our Facebook page. The voting is closed, but the winner by far was Northland Recreation. They received 61% of the votes that came in, with second place being Miracle Recreation. You have pictures of them, both of the top 2 voting structures in your packet. Staff is fine with either one of them, so therefore, recommendation is to go with Northland Recreation, which was the top vote getter.
I got a question though. I don't have a problem with it at all. I mean, I think it looks pretty cool. But in the past, have we had any issues with wear and tear on the netting on that structure, if you will, the ropes?
We've got a similar structure out at Sand Acres, and we also have a similar structure at Ashwaubenon Park. It's actually been there 14 years, and we've never had to replace the ropes on them. So the rope is actually, it's a metal cable with a special rope that's wrapped around the cable, special nylon rope that's wrapped around the metal cable inside.
Rex, a question I had on that matrix web. Has there been any concern about safety, kids getting hung up in it, too young for their skill level?
Nope,
Okay.
nope. Nothing has ever been reported to us. This is very similar to the one at Ashwaubenon Park. The one at Ashwaubenon is actually taller than this one will be, and nothing has been reported to us. It seems to be the trend right now, too. Almost all the playground companies have rope features available for climbing and just being active and getting the kids moving. Seems to be the hot thing right now, one of the trends in playground design.
When can residents expect something like this being installed?
This would go to village board next week. If approved at the village board level, we'd immediately order it. Probably get it by late summer, so I'm going to say early fall. It
Okay.
should be dried out by then. The way things are going, right? Oh,
Okay,
I'm hoping.
Is the whole area underneath going to be wood chips?
Yes. Yeah, we'd dig out the whole playground area to install the structure, and not part of the bid, but part of the overall budgetary dollars that were allotted to us through the budget. We'd also be putting in a new swing set, spring animal, that type of thing, but it would be all wood chips.
Okay. so this is gonna-
Typically, what we've been doing under the swing sets too, Mark, is we've been putting like safety mats, almost like cow mats type of a thing, to keep the
so-
feet from digging it out and putting, going too deep into the.
Yeah, there's going to be any of that rubber
No,
stuff.
no, the rubber matting, I don't know if I've said it in the past, but the rubber matting is nearly as expensive as the playground equipment itself to install that. And a lot of communities are doing it as part of what's called a universal playground for kids that maybe have mobility issues or are in a wheelchair, that type of a thing. So it's kind of also one of the big trends. But those playgrounds probably cost between $200 and $250.
okay. Any other questions? Can we get a motion to recommend the village board that Northland Recreation Little Tyke structure as presented to the community?
I'll make a motion to move the playground equipment by Northland to the village board.
Get a second? I'll second it. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Rex.
Yep.
8B, discussion on upcoming court plan.
Okay, so JC, you're probably well, maybe Dean too. I don't think either the two of you were here when we did this about 6 years ago. So CORP, what is a CORP plan? Comprehensive Outdoor Recreation Plan. It is a document that kind of tells a little bit about your community, demographics, age, income, talks about your park system, how many parks do you have, do you meet the national standards for parks versus population. You get community input, you have community meetings, and you take those projects that you get input on, and then coupled with staff and board member recommendations, you put together a plan of how you would like to see your parks developed in the future. And then it needs to go to village board for final approval. That corporate plan is needed to apply for state and federal grants. They will always ask, is it included in your corporate plan? Many of the projects we've done in the last 5 or 6 years actually came out of our corp meetings that we had at the different parks that are out there. Our first corp meeting is going to be tomorrow night. It's going to be in Skyline Park. And then Terry, I don't know if you could go on to the village webpage, the actual front webpage. I can.
Maybe.
Keep going. Oh, it's right there. Right there's good. So on the white, slide down all those different options on the left, and it says corp plan. Right below the blue box. Keep going down. Yep, right.
Got it.
Yep. So slide that. Yep, there you go. So there's a list of our meetings. It's on the village webpage. It has the different dates and parks and times where people can actually meet with staff and talk with them. And, I mean, not that they can do that anytime. These are just us going out into the parks. But specifically, we're going to be there at these dates and times to take feedback from the people of what they might like to see in either their neighborhood park or at the sports complex or out at Ashwaubenon, any place like that. If they can't make any of these meetings, if you want to click, Terry, on the right, under featured links, 2019 Corp Survey, they can also do the survey online. And that online survey is the second page for this agenda item in your packet. And they can just talk about what they like, are there improvements? I mean, we'll listen to anything, and we've got a whole bunch of stuff. In fact, we're still doing ideas, and we still have things on the docket from the last court meeting that are in our plan, that are still moving forward, in the budgetary processes. Can't do everything all at once, but we plan it out typically 10 years from when we do the corp. And we did the last one about 6 years ago. Technically, for the grants, you're supposed to do it about every 5 years, which is why we're doing it now. So, first one is tomorrow night. It is at Skyline Park, and then roughly every week, every other week, we'll be having them at different places in the village. And then once everything is compiled at the end of the summer, we'll bring everything to the park board, and we can kind of, we've got years 1 through 10, and then we can kind of figure out what projects do we think are, I don't want to say worthy, but which ones are feasible to do, within the village in our park system, and we can kind of start planning out the next 10 years.
We go through prioritization, or have in the past anyways, on what we think is the most pressing need that we need in the parks and everything too, and take the feedback and, compile all that stuff. I mean, it's quite a lengthy process. I mean, it was the first time, but I mean, now shouldn't be quite as bad.
So as an example of some of the ideas that came up in the last corp plan that came to reality, obviously, a lot of the older playground equipment we have was requested we'd like a new playground. So a lot of those have been done and are still on the plan, soon to be done, hopefully. The Canterbury Park Shelter was part of that plan. We just did that last year. Pickleball courts at Fort Howard, those ideas came from the corp plan back in 2014.
Argonne Park was part of it.
Yeah, the Argonne Park playground equipment you just approved, that was part of the corp plan, suggested by residents, hey, this is what we'd like. So I just want to make sure people know that these are their ideas. It's not just us making stuff up. We try and take the thoughts of what's out there from the residents, and I'll be honest with you, not everything can make it in. Some ideas are not as feasible as others are, but we try and take the things that we know that we can do and move forward with them.
Okay,
encourage people to, like I said, either come talk to us at one of these meetings, or fill out the survey online.
any questions on this? Because it's just for discussion, really. We don't have to vote on anything tonight. Just answering any questions because of new board members and stuff too, so.
Do you guys have any thoughts or comments, or?
No, I remember, I think in my first one, we went over like the old one, kind of, you had given
Okay.
an overview of it, so.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm good.
Okay,
Did we have the online survey last time? Just wondering if you'll get,
I don't
More
know, I
results.
don't think we did. I think we mailed a lot of surveys to people, and we did a lot of direct mailing, but this time I believe it's, I don't think we had it online
I
last
don't
time.
think so.
So it's a different, different method, so we'll see what the turnout is for the actual meetings. I know some people just like to come and talk, and that's why we, and we like to talk to them, and because then you can answer questions back, or ask questions back and try and narrow down what some of the thoughts are. So I'm hoping people come to the meetings, but if not, then they can also fill them out online.
yeah, I think, I mean, and maybe you're already doing this, I don't know who handles the social media for, the Park and Rec, but maybe put the survey on their Facebook page?
There was a post 2 weeks ago on our department Facebook page, and then I just posted today about the Skyline one, and they all also have links to go to the online survey.
Oh, okay, good, that's what I,
Yep.
that's what I.
So everything is linked, so,
I know I
um,
shared one of,
and we will be continually, a couple days before each neighborhood meeting that we're having, we'll continually put that on our Facebook page, with those links so that people can do it either way, and hopefully they'll be able to catch one of them.
Okay. If there's any questions, be free to, you can go to any or all of them. It doesn't make any difference. We've had trustees show up at a lot of them. We had park board members show up at them. I mean,
And just because they're at one park doesn't
Yeah.
mean you can't talk about another park. Don't say, oh, I'm not gonna go to the one, I can't go to the one tomorrow night at Skyline, but I live right across the street from Skyline, or then go to the one at Smith. We will talk about any park at any of the meetings, just because it's at Skyline Park tomorrow night, or Aubinger Park next week. Doesn't mean it's just for that park. It is for our park system. So it can be about a park, it can be about, hey, I'd like to see the trail system expanded in this area, and that type of thing. It can be about anything.
who's going to be there from staff next week? David?
David and I believe Melody will be
Okay.
there.
Okay. I know you're on vacation, so
Yep. I think both of them will be there.
sounds good. Okay, if there's anything else on that, just be free to give Rex a call or show up in meetings then. We'll move on to 8C, which is discussion on, or Park and Rec Department reports.
Well, there's a lot of stuff here, because this is 2 months' worth of reports. So, real quickly, just a couple things going on. We're having a pre-construction meeting tomorrow at Ashwaubenon Park at 10 in the morning with QSP. They're the contractor who is going to be working on our GLRI NRDA grant. The fish cribs and the logs that we're anchoring off the shore of Ashwaubenon, and also in front of Manso Flats. So that construction will probably start very shortly. Tomorrow morning is the pre-construction meeting on that. The rain has been playing havoc with a lot of different things. Luckily, we haven't had to cancel too much. They've canceled softball for tonight. We have not been open at the lake hardly at all. We had like one really good day so far. And we've been open 8 days already. And I think like on 4 of them, we haven't even opened. And on 3 of them, we had to close early. So it's been kind of an ugly spring, start of summer, quite honestly. The parks have had enough rain. For instance, at Ashwaubenon Park, just on the soccer field in the middle of the park, we've had to pull our mowers out of the mud where they've sunk into certain sections 3 times already. And they're all in different sections. There's like soft spots, obviously in the ditches. I can't tell you how many times across the board, across the village, we've had to pull our mowers out. And so when you do that, the grass obviously continues to grow. And then the dandelions start to pop, and the parks don't look as they should. So it's a little bit frustrating on our end, because this is a good thing. People call and say, our parks aren't looking very good, cut the darn grass. So we've got residents that care about how our parks look. Unfortunately, it's been very hard for us to get in there, and about the only thing that's not going to sink is like one of our little rotting lawnmowers or a push mower, because our bigger mowers just aren't, they're going to cause ruts in the turf, which some of them have already done. So we are very reticent to go out there and do that unless we absolutely have to. So all I am trying to say is, please be patient. When things dry out, we'll get back on our regular mowing and weed whipping routine, because we're not going to weed whip unless we mow. And then they'll start to look good. But the rain needs to slow down. It's not been a good spring for us, I'll be honest. All of our programs are going right now, our park programs, when the parkies are still there, if the weather's decent enough. They're all in operation. Our day camp is going full bore. You see in the report, a lot of the park and recreation programs have started. Obviously, lake is open. Swim lessons are going well. We had our first food truck rally last Thursday night. I thought it went well. Again, with the rain, we had to keep the trucks off the grass. So we went to Plan B. Trucks stayed in the parking lot, which I still thought worked out well. And then the picnic tables were still in the grass, and the people sat there along with our beverage tent and the movie in the park and the band. So that worked out well. I want to say, I'm guessing we had about 1,000 people for that. The majority of the vendors were pretty happy. So we're hoping the July 11th one will be bigger and better with the warmer weather hopefully around the corner. Summer concerts have started. First one was inside last Wednesday because it was raining. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow is Paul Evanson. He does a great Neil Diamond tribute. Spot on. He's one of the favorites that people like to hear every year. So we'll evaluate the conditions out in Clipstein. Hopefully we'll be out there tomorrow. I don't think it's supposed to rain, but with that downpour we had today, depending upon how wet it is, we're going to try and keep it outside. But if not, we'll be inside with that. And I think the Ashwaubenon Swim Club is doing concessions. Questions, I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there. Are there questions on any programs or activities that people have in the May or June report? Forestry, Tim's been taking down trees, planting new trees, grinding out a lot of stumps. This is the time of the year that he's able to do that. We hosted the Green Bay Triathlon beginning of this month. That turned out well.
Are people still volunteering to take care of the flower beds, like Girl Scouts and stuff?
Adopt the Park and Adopt the Flower Bed
Yeah.
I believe we have all of them filled again. Tim does a really nice job. And the residents have always been willing to step forward. Sometimes individuals do them, sometimes groups do them. We've got a couple scout troops that are doing, cleaning up the parks or kind of maintaining a flower bed after their meeting every week, every other week, that type of thing. So yeah, those are great programs, and they are still going full force.
Good.
In fact, we've even got a couple trails that have been adopted.
Good.
Oh, we also had the Ashwaubenon cleanup this past Saturday. That's when all the scout groups and any other volunteers go into Ashwaubenon, and we pick a couple areas. We usually trim up trees, and we remove a lot of invasive species, cut down a lot of buckthorn. We did the area between the Chief Ashwaubenon Memorial and the New Water fence line. Depending on how old you are, you might remember that was the area way back when that the waterboard warriors used as a launching point when they were actually on the Fox before they moved to Wrightstown. So that's been trimmed up. Boy, the water is high this year. There's a lot of trees out in the water. In the last 20 years, the water's been so low that, they grew up and, they were on the shoreline and they looked like they were on land, but this year, now they're, 2-3 feet up on the trunk. So I have a feeling a lot of those trees right along water's edge will not make it through the summer because they'll be submerged, I'm guessing, all summer. So we're gonna probably have some work to do there this winter, removing them because of that high water mark. But that was area number 1, and then this is kind of long-term, but area number 2, when you first drive into Ashwaubenon Park, immediately to the right, we've got a big dirt pile there. We've got a use for that dirt pile this summer, hopefully. But between the Ashwaubenon Creek and that parking lot, that's all buckthorn. So we took a good chunk of that out. Long-term, one of the proposed budget items that I've been talking with our village president, Mary Kardowski, and Allison Swanson, our village manager, about is a new Ashwaubenon Park sign on the roadway to make it more visible. The old sign, which I love, across the roadway, it needs to be replaced. And we're looking at a monument sign along the roadway, and with that new sign, we'd like to try and clear out more of that brush there along the river so people can actually see into the park. You would think people kind of know where Ashwaubenon is, but there's a lot of people at that food truck rally on Thursday night that said, I didn't even know this park was here, and I've driven by it all my life.
It's cleverly hidden sometimes, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we want to try and, if a new sign gets approved budget-wise, hopefully in the next couple of years, we want to try and open up that section of river so people can see that there's a park in there, rather than just looking down that roadway, which is currently the only really way you can tell.
I noticed there's a whole bunch of concrete pipes stored along there. Is that the new water?
Nope, those are ours. Those were dug out when Mike McCarthy Way was redone. But those are going to be the anchors for a lot of the ash trees that are being cut down that are going to be put into the river for fish habitat. So basically, the trunk of the tree will go into those culverts, and those will be the anchor so those trees don't float away. So hopefully most of them, or a good number of them anyway, will be gone once this project is completed in the fall.
Are they gonna be sunk deep enough that when the water recedes in 10 years that they won't be sticking up, or?
We hope. That's the problem, is, based on the water level, but we think they're gonna be out far enough. They're still gonna be dug out, they're gonna be put into the river.
Okay.
They're not just gonna be laid on top. So there will be some digging right along the shoreline where the culvert will be put in. And then before that's done, they'll be doing little moats basically around it so that the material doesn't float away when, you know what I mean, because with the clean river and whatnot. But yeah, so a couple things going on.
Do you have a question?
No, I just had some feedback, actually. Just wanted, I guess, more of a concern is with the annual rummage sale. I know that that's huge in Ashwaubenon. I know personally myself, I struggle with that Friday because there's so many kids getting on the buses. And even when you set a time for a rummage sale, you have the people that like to go early. So I remember just sending my own son out to the bus. I was like, watch it, because I don't know if a lot of you been around rummage sales, but you get people kind of flying around because they want to go from one house to the next as fast as they can and beat everyone. So I'm just bringing it up as a concern. I don't know how we work with that on a Friday, almost if you could coordinate a Friday with the day off of Ashwaubenon schools. But it was just to me, at that moment in time on that Friday, I thought, oh, like, I just remember telling each of my kids, just extra look across the street, get across, because I went to the rummage sale myself, and I just know, I walked it, you park and you walk, but you have the people that just cruise up and
Oh, yeah,
just
no,
cruise.
there are definitely some speedy drivers trying to hit as many as they can.
I just want to bring it up as a concern, just to maybe think about for next year's.
Sure.
You know, whether it's communication we could do, or, you know, I don't know, something.
Watch out for the kids.
Yeah,
Something
just-
on the,
just
on the front page
something.
of the mapping or whatever.
Yeah, or
No.
think about if there's a Friday they have off of school during that same month, or whatever, I don't know, just something to think about for the planning of next year's, is why I want to bring it up.
Okay, no, that's a good point. Thanks, Tracy.
Mhm.
Anything else? Okay. 8D, annual distribution of the Code of Ethics. Attached in your packets is the Code of Ethics from our municipal code that is distributed to all members of all committees. We just ask that you read it and go through it and try to abide by it. That'd be great. And if anybody has any questions, talk to the staff or myself, and we'll get you taken care of. Items for next agenda. Is there anything that anybody'd like to see on? We want a full report of California when you get back? Just kidding.
If that's what you
No.
are requiring of me, I'll be happy to give it.
I'm just kidding. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.